They have, and I know you're, I went to take it back this summer. Helen's still involved with the project? Yeah. Is there no longer organizational management projects or anything? That's crazy. Oh, it's the same one I saw them coming in.
Wave of the laser one. Maybe we should shove along to just by this stuff.
Good morning, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Hello, morning.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
John Paul. John Paul. John.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Just a little overview of the rules. You'll have 20 minutes to present. I will be giving you a 5-minute warning. I will be sitting right here. Please look for it. And then I will be giving you a 1-minute warning. After the timer goes off, that is it for your presentation. Then we will have a 2-minute Q&A where I will give a verbal 1-minute warning. After which the judges, well, you may exit, and then the judges will be going back to deliberate in the deliberation room. Okay, start whenever you're ready. Oh, please turn off your cell phones. Vibrate, silent, off. Thank you.
Before we get started, we really want to thank RRUIUCC University and all the other participating teams for providing us with such a great experience over the past few days.
All right, I just wanted to welcome the Board of Directors from Nokia Denmark for being here with us today. As you're aware, you assembled us 6 months ago to address the current situation. We're here from DAL Consulting. My name is Ariana Lacert. This is Daniel Pasco, Allison Hubner, and Lindsay Johnson. We're going to address the specific issue of where Nokia Denmark can move in this industry that is continually growing, and in particular, address our joint venture with Foxconn.
Throughout our presentation today, there are 3 things we would like for you to focus on and take away. 1 is a clear understanding of the solution that we're recommending. 2 is the strategy that will allow us to get there. And 3 is the timeline, cost, and risk associated with this solution. In order to maximize your time with us here today, we've developed an agenda for you to follow throughout our presentation. We're going to start with the background, which will lead us into the statement of the problem. We'll go through some quantitative and qualitative analysis, which will lead us to alternatives. We'll pick one of those and develop an implementation strategy for it. Then we'll have our conclusion at that time. You can answer any questions.
First and foremost, we have to have an understanding of the company we are. As Nokia Denmark, we do focus on connecting with people, empowering everyone to share and make the most of their life by offering irresistible personal experience. Again, this is our vision. We have to implement in every strategy. Again, understanding where we are currently and where we need to move. So our current situation, we are a subsidiary of the world's largest telephone manufacturer, and we do have that joint venture specifically for our research and development with Foxconn. Additionally, we are the largest development center outside of Finland, and our primary function is the development of these mobile phones. So this has led to a few problems that we've run into. The biggest problem is the disruptive time right now in the industry and where we can grow and how we can move in this industry. Some subsidiary issues that did come up or relationship with Foxconn, and how can we improve this relationship? So we've thought of a handful of possible directions. Could we scale up our research and development with Foxconn and improve this joint venture? Could we possibly phase out Foxconn altogether? Or should we focus specifically on our current products? Or conversely, should we expand our products and add new products to our product line?
When making such a big decision, we really need to think about who's going to be affected by it. We've outlined a few different stakeholders in this decision, the main ones being Foxconn, our partner, our employees, our customers, our competitors, our shareholders, and finally the universities and research institutions that we've collaborated with.
Again, when we're making an educated decision of how to move in this industry, we have to have an understanding of where we fall with our consumers and what are they looking for when they're purchasing a mobile phone. So we've decided our most important competition is Samsung, Research in Motion, which in particular the BlackBerry, Google, and Apple. And when a competitor is approaching us, they're looking for the price and the functionality. And we do believe right now we fall in the medium price, but our functionality is strictly medium. And we want to improve our functionality and raise our price just slightly so we can compete in the Google and Apple markets.
Before making a decision, we have to evaluate if this is a decision we can make, we want to make, or we need to make. Because we already have large revenue and market share, we've determined that this is a decision that we want to make because it's not necessary to the immediate viability of our company, and therefore are willing to accept a moderate amount of risk.
Additionally, we have to have an understanding of where we fall as a product in the product life cycle. Right now, we are in the maturity stage. So what does this mean for our growth strategy? So in the maturity stage, we do need to focus on our customers. It's a very highly saturated market. So we can't improve our market share too drastically until we improve our products. Additionally, marketing needs to focus on the differentiation of our products compared to our other competitors. And our capital expenditures should be very low at this point. Our profits, as they are, should be very high. And our number of customers are extremely large.
In order to make a better decision, we need to understand our organizational structure within the company. Our devices and services can be broken down into three different categories: mobile solutions, mobile phones, and markets. Mobile solutions, as you can see under it, the main things are to develop and manage our smartphones and mobile computers. Under mobile phones, we're developing and managing affordable mobile phones. And under markets, we're managing the supply chain, controlling the sales channels, and the brand and marketing activities. Our partnership with Foxconn, just to go over a little bit more about that, it happened in 2007. We did it because they're the world's largest maker of electronic components, and we outsource our selected product development projects that are more standardized and less complex to them in order to give us more organizational flexibility to work on more high-value products in Denmark. And we do have weekly video conference meetings and regular meetings every 6 to 8 weeks in person in either China or Denmark, and this integrates that interface that we have. It did become a central facet of our product development organization, so it is crucial to us, and it decreased our product development time by 6 months, from 12 to 15 months down by 6 months. And however, they are a manufacturer for our main competitors as well, so that faces a problem for us.
Again, when we're understanding our industry and our company, Nokia Denmark, we have to have an understanding of specifically our mobile phone market, as that is our main product. First, we do fall in we do have products offered in the low price, the mid price, and the high price. And right now, we have very small market share of the low priced mobile phones. And we have a very high market share of the mid price mobile phones. And we want to capitalize on that high price market. And again, before we can make an educated decision, we have to have an understanding of where the industry is headed. So we conducted a convergence analysis to understand that the industry right now is headed towards more smartphone tablets. So we need to make sure we implement this in our strategic plan. Because right now we are currently losing market share in the premium smartphone market, so we need to make sure we change this. Again, we conducted a pest analysis, Porter's analysis, and a SWOT analysis, but the most applicable for Nokia Denmark was the SWOT analysis. So emphasizing the strengths of Nokia Denmark, we do have the talent, capacity, and innovation, and the resources to maintain our industry right now and continue to grow in the industry. Additionally, we are the largest development center outside of Finland, that's specifically the Nokia Denmark market. And we are recognized for our best-selling and path-breaking products.
The weaknesses that we've identified are that we're currently losing market share. Costs are high, and our external partnership is seen as risky. What we want, and also our partner is a manufacturer for our competitors, which we see as a risk for us.
After analyzing both these strengths and weaknesses, we did find a handful of opportunities we can capitalize on. The biggest opportunities is utilizing our other products like NAVTech and differentiating ourselves from our competitors with our relationship with Microsoft and implementing these Windows packages. Additionally, we can have more time and resources for value-added products as we have moved some of our smaller end products to Foxconn. So we have more time to focus on our high-end products in Denmark.
Our main threats that we've identified are evolving technology, the environment, especially in terms of the economy, competitors, and currently we have limited access to Microsoft packages.
Now we take a look at the financials. We decided to run an analysis of the income statement to identify key trends and kind of go from there. And what we did do is we did identify one key trend, and we found two possibilities with that. First thing, looking at it, we can see that the net sales has varied, but it kind of moves within a kind of range. It goes up and it goes down. No real trend is positive or negative. And also the same with our costs as well. Now the real difference is when we look at the operating profit and the profit before tax. As you can see, those vary much more wildly than the cost itself. And also that you can see that the costs have remained, as I said, with the net sales within that channel. This is just another way of looking at it. This shows the percentage of each item as a percentage of the net sales. And as you can see, the operating profit and the profit before tax both vary much more so than any other item along the balance sheet. So what we need to do is we need to go ahead and look at the other expenses and kind of figure out where the exact problem is. Just to show it in more of a graphical representation, you can see that our net sales decreased on a trend from 2007 to 2010 by a negative 17%, whereas the profit before tax declines negative 78%, which is a huge decrease when compared to sales.
So to kind of expand a little bit on what Daniel was explaining is we feel like we don't have a revenue problem. Nokia is generating excellent return with their revenues. What we have identified is that we have a profit problem. And this is represented right here in this table. You can see our gross profit is very strong, very healthy, 32% in 2009, 34% in both 2007, 2008. Our problem here is the bottom line, where we were producing high in the double digits margin, and now we fall into just 2% and 4% respectively in the last 2 years. So what those numbers are broken down from are three main reporting entities. We have devices and services, Navitech, and Nokia's Siemens network. So as you can see, right now, our device and services, this is providing us our greatest sales and our gross profit. We are also spending the most on our R&D there, but it is again providing a positive return. So we need to identify all three of these segments in our strategy.
We also found 4 critical success factors. The first thing, like you just saw, is we need to control our costs. We also need to build a relationship with Foxconn, and through that, we can hopefully increase our market share, which all these will help drive our bottom line up.
After a quantitative and qualitative analysis, we did explore a handful of alternatives. The 3 alternatives that we explored was first, phasing out completely with Foxconn. A second alternative we explored was focusing on our mobile computer products. And the third alternative we explored was a fully integrated growth plan.
We developed advantages and disadvantages for each of these. The first alternative, phasing out with Foxconn, there are advantages because we will save the cost of controlling and coordinating both companies, because that has been a little bit of a problem for us with that interface. And also, employees perceive this external partner as selling core competencies, so they aren't very comfortable with them right now. However, Nokia Denmark must employ more resources on standardized products because we won't be able to outsource that, and that has been a big advantage to us. It takes away the focus from value-adding products, and it is the central facet of our product development organization, so phasing out would not be beneficial to us.
The second alternative that we considered was going straight to the long-term future and focusing on mobile computer products. This is advantageous to us because we have had a struggle in the high-end markets, so the avenue for high performance is here. We can enter and grow here. Also, industry technology is moving towards the tablets, so we are moving into the future. However, there are a few disadvantages, such as currently it is the smallest of our segments, and it's not our core competency, which is a large risk for us. Also, it requires extensive time, resources, especially R&D and employees.
The third alternative we explored was the fully integrated growth strategy. The advantages to this is specifically we outsource our basic products to Foxconn, which gives us more time and energy and resources to focus on our higher end products here at Denmark Nokia. Additionally, we'll be implementing our Microsoft packages with our relationship that we just started with Microsoft. Third, we'll be emphasizing our smartphones and moving more into this high price market. And last, it'll improve our relationship with Nokia Siemens network. The disadvantages of this, specifically, it will require time and resources, as any fully integrated growth strategy could do. And it is definitely hurting our current state of economy.
Now, when we evaluated alternatives, what we did is we took those critical success factors and we assigned a weight to them based on their relative value and importance. We then looked at each alternative and scored them on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest. After we did that, we summed them all up and we found that the fully integrated growth plan gave us the highest total, which is the plan that we shall proceed with.
So as proceeding, we decided to develop an implementation plan for it. We titled it the Fully Integrated Growth Plan. It has 3 main parts. The first one is to outsource our more basic products to Foxconn. Our second is to focus on the smartphones. And our third is in the long term, we'll be focusing on tablets. In order to do our implementation, we have to do some internal evaluation throughout the entire process. This will be comprised of benchmarking, metrics of success, dashboard, and milestones. Benchmarking is looking at our competitors, see who's doing it well, and deciding how we can be more like them. We'll do this through metrics of success, which Daniel will explain later, and these are measurable outcomes that we can take a look at. Our dashboard is looking at this at any single point in time. We can look at those metrics of success and see how we're performing. And our milestones are different points along our timeline to make sure that these metrics of success are being met. We'll take a look at that milestone and say, here is where we're at. Should we develop, should we continue as we are going? Should we modify it? Or should we completely stop what we're doing?
So first part of our implementation plan is outsourcing more to Foxconn. What we're going to do is make sure we outsource even more products, our basic products, over to Foxconn. So how we're going to do this? We're outsource them specifically to China. China is our largest market, and it is the 3rd highest in our sales. So this will certainly increase our market share in China and make products more readily available. And again, these are just those basic products. Additionally, we'll ensure legal coverage to address the issue of the specific Nokia Denmark employees. They're concerned with our core product not being more readily mimicked and copied. So we'll ensure the legal coverage to make sure our core product is not jeopardized. Next, we'll move on with our Foxconn employee relationship. Currently, we have 8 people in the Denmark Nokia Nokia employees, and we want to rearrange this. Put 4 of them in Denmark and move 4 of them to China. So you'll technically be working for Nokia, but again, this will address the issue of the high turnover rates, and we'll be able to keep our secrets of actually how to produce the products internally with Nokia. And next, we'll create this internal dashboard. So although we'll be decreasing the number of employees in Denmark, we'll be implementing this dashboard in order to monitor our relationship with Foxconn more readily. The next part is Nokia Denmark. They'll be focusing on the smartphones. First, it'll be highly trained and creative engineers, and they'll have an opportunity to capitalize on the smartphone market. Next, we'll be turning our Navtech and our Nokia Siemens network into assets, because currently they're just functioning as expenses right now. And how are we going to do this? The strategy right now for the smartphone strategy, we'll be using this Navtech. So we'll be implementing digital map information on all of our smartphones, capitalizing on the location-based apps that are out there right now. And we'll be using the Nokia Siemens network. So we'll be moving beyond the simple Symbian platform that we have right now that's used on our low-end products. And we'll be using the Siemens network to use on our high-end smartphones. And we'll be doing this, nurturing our relationship with them as well. And what are we going to be doing with Microsoft? As you're aware, we just started a partnership with them in early December. We certainly want to capitalize on this. We want to implement all of our Microsoft packages onto the smartphones, both the Word, Excel, and the PowerPoint. And the only current competitor in this is BlackBerry. But right now, BlackBerry is moving towards apps and trying to compete with Apple and trying to take some more of their market share. So who's going to fill this void? We hope to have Nokia Business Edge fulfill this void for addressing the professional business market. So we're going to adjust our target market. Adjusting our target market, we're going to move into professional business men and women, university partners, emphasizing both the 3 university partners we have right now and expanding on that, addressing their specific needs. And we'll move into the medium and high income, technologically savvy individuals, and focusing in these areas of Asia Pacific and China specifically, North America and United Kingdom. So we've come up with a new marketing strategy to address this for our new Nokia Business Edge. The marketing strategy, the product in itself, will have these smartphones implemented with the NavTech and implemented with our new Siemens network. Additionally, the price will move into that more high price category. And the place where it'll be advertised, we'll make sure we do it on the professional, for large national channels on television. And our promotion will emphasize the new smartphone and how we're gonna be moving towards the new business and emphasizing professional businessmen and women.
In the long term, we do need to think about the tablet market. As we said, that is a very high, that's where the future is going in our convergence analysis. So we're going to be using NavTech, our Siemens network, and the Microsoft packages combined in the future in order to increase this tablet market and really be a part of that.
Now, as we proceed down this timeline, we really have to keep our eye on technology and kind of monitor where that's going, because that's changing all the time, and it's a very important part of our business. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to move those workers over to China. And when we do that, we're going to monitor to see how they're doing, see if they increase their revenue and their profitability over there. We're also going to develop start producing our development line with Microsoft, Siemens, and the NavTech capabilities. And that's going to go stretch into the long term too. And around that time, in the long term, we're going to also look and see, make sure that the technology is still there for the tablets, and also implement a new marketing campaign.
So to talk a little bit about the financials that go along with this plan. Currently, within the last 2 prior years, we've had gross profit of 33%, which we consider a very strong characteristic that we have. However, our expenses are drastically bringing us down. 30% of our gross profit goes to expenses, leaving us with just 3% operating profit. What we identified is we can't take on more expenses to carry out this plan. We instead have to reallocate and monitor and cut back on our expenses. We can do that by using a Kaizen budgeting method. What we did was we weighted our 4 types of expenses and weighted them relative to their importance to the firm. We identified as selling and R&D as the most important, and therefore will get the least amount of reduction. So as we can see, we will decrease expenses by just under 1% per month, giving us a very relatively small decrease per unit.
In order to determine if our implementation plan was indeed successful, we've developed 4 metrics of success. These 4 metrics include decreasing our turnover ratio by 10%. Additionally, increasing our global market share by at least 2%. Our third one is increasing the number of Nokia employees by 4 people now in China. And the last is decreasing our overall expenses by 5%.
In our industry, and especially with the decision we're making, there are a lot of risks that come along with this. The 3 that we've identified that we need to take a look at are: 1, the core competencies are at risk with our partnership with Foxconn, our high turnover ratio at Foxconn, which technically we cannot have direct control of since there are their employees, and finally, the constantly changing technology in the industry. The mitigations that we've come up with in order to deal with these are to develop a contract for full legal coverage with our with Foxconn in order to so that our
We just want to make sure you guys walk out of the room having a clear understanding of the conclusion.
At this time, we'll answer any questions you may have.
Tell me, how confident are you in the Microsoft relationship?
Right now, as it was just introduced in December of 2011, and we're just moving into it right now, that is a big risk we need to take on that we have certainly addressed, but I'm confident we can create this strong partnership. As it was, I'm sure there was a lot more thought that went into it before they introduced it to Nokia Denmark.
And what are your thoughts around how many different phones that you put into the market every year? How many new phones?
Of course. Well, from headquarters, we do get our regulations of how many phones we need to implement from headquarters. So before, they moved us from the simple, we were probably making around 4 to 6, I believe, and then headquarters requested for us to make 12 every year. So for this, that's when we began outsourcing in 2007 to Foxconn. So we believe.
Do you think that's a good idea?
I do. I believe your best bet would be to maybe cut that down to about 10, keeping our small, making sure we have our low-end market basic products in Foxconn and making those go to China, and then making sure we focus on that smartphone. And if we have just 2 to 3 smartphones in our Nokia Denmark, we can certainly make sure we penetrate that high market. So again, we have the Foxconn, the smartphone in the high market price, the medium market price, and again, just making sure we implement all of our assets.
In one of your first slides, you identified the 2 problems as disruption in the industry and your relationship with Foxconn. Now, as a member of the board of directors and a shareholder, I'm more concerned about the lowering and the drop in return on investment and potential dividends. And I see you address that in a very indirect way. I saw how you were going to lower costs, but I wasn't totally convinced in your rationale for your ability to raise prices, which is now a very competitive market. Could you focus on that somewhat?
Yes, we believe that increase in price is appropriate because consumers expect a certain price point with the features that we'll be making available to them. So we want to make sure that we're correctly positioning our product.
Additionally, we want to be able to compete with the Google and the Apple. If they do have a higher price, they're perceived as having higher functionality. We know with integrating with Microsoft and Navtech and using that Nokia Siemens network, we can improve our perceived quality. Again, we do think right now we have a great actual product, but if we implement these new things and advertise them better and make sure our target more towards those businesses so that we can change our target market, we think we'll improve our perceived quality. So the only way we found to improve that perceived quality was raising the prices so we can compete with Google and Apple.
So it's more a marketing approach rather than
Exactly.
a technical approach.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, on that point of Google and Apple, I mean, your core competencies have been in the low end and mid end.
Yes.
And now where you have maintained high market share, now you're proposing to move into a high-end product.
Correct.
How is that going to impact your existing position in the market, and what do you anticipate the response from Google and Apple might be with you trying to move into their market?
We think the best thing right now especially is moving, again, we need to change that perceived quality and we need to change the perceived functionality. And the reactions from our competitors may be very drastic, but what we're doing is we're going to improve beyond the research and motion, beyond those BlackBerries. And Apple is focusing more on the fun phone, the phone that you can do everything with, but they don't have that relationship with Microsoft that we do. So we can capitalize on that and differentiate ourselves from our competitors with this Microsoft. So again, capitalizing on the BlackBerry void that we believe will continue in the future as they're moving to capture the market share of Apple.
Additionally, it is easy to get caught up in that it is our core competency. However, we need to take a step back and take a reality check. What's going on is the industry is moving forward. We can't keep on developing these smaller phones that don't have the technology, so we really need to keep up with the industry and move forward and focus on that.
So in our 2% growth target of market share in the next year, what percentage of that is going to be in the smartphone market versus not? I mean, keep in mind that we are still the largest single manufacturer of smartphones in the world already today. So how much of this is going to come from the low end, medium, and high end?
Right, so if you looked at our budget for where we were saying how we're going to implement this, we are shooting to maintain our current revenues. So we feel that the 2% increase will be mostly from the new smartphone entrants, where we're still maintaining our current market share, keeping those current customers happy. Does that answer your question?
I think so.
And additionally, I believe your question was also directed to, is this 2% going to be just smartphones?
Yeah.
Our game plan right now is, the new strategic implementation plan will be towards those smartphones, specifically that Nokia Business Edge. So we want to increase our smartphone, just again, staying ahead of the competition and differentiating ourselves. So we believe this 2% will be strictly the smartphones. And then in the long term, we want to improve our market share in the tablets. So again, implementing all of our assets onto the smartphones and then long-term onto the tablet. So before we enter the market of tablets, which is again where the industry is going, we want to make sure we have a clear understanding of what our assets are. So make sure we capitalize on the Navtech and the Siemens network and capitalize on our partnership with Microsoft so we can have that point of differentiation and increase our market share.
So have you looked at what the actual increase in units then we're expecting to sell of new Nokia smartphones to get a 2% increase in overall market share?
I believe we have not specifically, we did not have an understanding clearly of how many we are selling. So we did.
28.3 million.
Lindsay can better answer that
Okay.
that question.
Right, so we are a global brand, and most new phone purchases are towards that smartphone. When you get an upgrade, your first thought is not, I can't wait to go out and get that basic model, show it off to all my friends. We feel that we're going to go out and we're going to push the new purchases towards this new smartphone. So we truly feel that the 28 million units is rather a drop in the bucket of our billion population world.
How do you see this new strategy impacting your organizational structure?
Of course. The first part that it'll impact is our outsourcing to Foxconn. So our organization structure specifically will be altered with this new dashboard and rearranging our Foxconn relationship employees. So again, right now we have those 8 employees in Nokia, Denmark, and we want to rearrange them, keeping 4 in Denmark and moving 4 to China. So this will definitely change our management, but it'll help address the certain issues that our employees have. So we think this will improve their current satisfaction with our relationship with Foxconn if we can decrease the employee turnover, if we can make sure they have an understanding that our core product will not be jeopardized. And again, they'll have that internal dashboard implemented, so they'll have an understanding the whole time of where we are in our timeline, where we are in our milestones. So they can certainly, every employee will have access to this dashboard, but the 4 employees in Denmark will be communicating with the 4 employees in China. So we think it'll change our employee management a little bit, but for the better.
And could you speak to that from your partnership with Microsoft?
Of course. Our partnership with Microsoft is very new. So right now, we don't have a clear understanding of what, if we are going to have this similar structure of 4 people working with Microsoft, technically working with Nokia. But again, we've set up those milestones in order to address this later on. If we do need to add more people working with Microsoft, we certainly can go ahead and readdress the issue and add these new people to working with Microsoft. But for right now, we think our main goal, we might be able to add a few employees to work with Microsoft within Nokia Denmark, and again, implement that dashboard with working with Microsoft as well. So the dashboard will have the implementation of not just Foxconn, but have the implementation with Microsoft as well.
And further, outsourcing to Foxconn, our basic units, will allow us more organizational flexibility to really grow our relationship with Microsoft.
Can I ask a question with the technology base? You talk about using Microsoft packages. Are you using the Microsoft operating system or the Microsoft packages?
No, we want to use our Nokia Siemens operating system, the network. So we want to make sure we maintain that and move beyond that current Symbian operating system that we have on our small phones, and use the Nokia, so we can again nurture that relationship we have right now with Siemens, and again make sure we have a very strong relationship with all of our ventures.
1 minute warning.
So we want to make sure we, with Microsoft, we just want to implement all of their packages, just their Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, but simply make sure we use our Siemens network.
You talk about Kaizen budgeting and to reduce costs. Talk to me about how you're going to use the Kaizen method then to reduce those costs.
Yes, certainly. So when we get to the slide, just a little background for the others in the room. Kaizen budgeting is an advanced costing technique that allows you to continually, slowly, through compounding, reduce costs. So what we did is, it's at the end, right after the budget, and we took the amount of decrease that we need for our costs, which is 11%. We spread it out over a year target with approximately a 0.92% per month decrease in our expenses. While this may sound like a little decrease, we wanted to make sure that it wasn't affecting the departments disproportionately. That's why we used the weighting.
Thank you.
Thank you.